kind of people say, how often should you do this? I know Gavin, who does our sort of advanced search course, says you should look at it maybe once a month. But there's obviously looking, and then there's looking. You can kind of look at it and go, yeah, I've seen that page, and go for a coffee. Or you can kind of proper look at them. Or obviously, if you're doing changes, do it more often. And then maybe every 3 to 6 months, kind of depending on your site, I think you need to look at it more proper and look at some of the big tools that you don't always look at.
People fall into two categories. They're either on it every 20 minutes, sounding slightly indignant why nobody's been, or they're never ever on it. Just have a bit of consistency with it, you know, whether it's every week, every Friday, or whatever, or every month. Just have a look at it and understand whether you're on upward curves on key things. And if you're not, come and do something about it, I guess.
Yeah, looking isn't enough. Honestly, just looking at it, it's not going to change anything.
And you get it all mailed to yourself as well, maybe on a weekly basis.
So
it'll produce automated reports for you, and you know, as complicated or as simple as you want them.
Yeah. So these are kind of the basic ones that everybody looks at, because this is the beautiful dashboard that you get instantly, and you can look at and go, yeah, I've looked, that looks good, and go off again. It is an important, and it does give you a very good sort of overview of the basic things like the number of visits, how many pages per visit. Pages per visit is quite important. If you know that every person needs to visit 5 pages to complete the shopping cart or whatever your goal is, and everybody on average visits 2.4, then it's not good.
There's a rather unsurprising but consistent metric, which is more pages viewed equals more business, bigger shopping cart, better relationship, better long lifetime value. You know, we've got people who've done early engagement in analytics saying, you know, if you can get up from 5 page views to about 8, there seems to be a real difference there between the return. So hopefully from all of us, as we roll forward, we'll be able to find where these little thresholds are, where perhaps you start to get returns by...
Some of you were here for kind of the Helsbury case study, and that was one of the things that we majorly improved. We went from people looking at about 2 pages to looking at about 7 pages because they actually found stuff, which makes a big difference on the bottom line. The time on site, which kind of is a little bit obvious, and new versus returning. The new versus returning is kind of, it depends on your sector and what you does. Like we were talking to Kes, who does these bespoke African holidays, and she doesn't have very many returning customers. But if you've just spent oodles of money on this fabulous bespoke African travel, it's not very likely you're going to go again next week and buy the same, because unless you're really well off, the nature of it is you either don't come back or it's far between. So next year when you come back, Google will still see you as a new one. So it's not relevant for everybody. You need to know your business before you read too much into that.
Time on the site's a big one as well, because if it says somebody's been on there half an hour, have they poring over your fantastic website and what you've never altered in 2 years, or have they fallen asleep or gone for some tea? Probably the latter, isn't it?
Yeah. So number of visitors, it really isn't just about the homepage. Again, this ties in with what we were saying last time. The homepage isn't necessarily the most important page on a website anymore. You need to look at kind of your top content pages, because you'll know where... Nobody buys anything from your homepage. You'll know where your prime content is, your product, your sign up now, your download here. Yeah. And they need to be in here. And if they aren't in here, in your top content, you need to go back and revisit kind of the navigation through the site. And Google gives you a lot of good tools for that. Like there's a navigation summary and the site overlay, which are both very good for seeing where people go and where they fall out.
Yeah, you can't tell Google what pages to put high up in the search engines. Sometimes you get kind of rather strange pages appearing, and these stats are gonna tell you that, and then your objective is to make the right linkage off those pages to lead you through to the good bits, whilst separately working on SEOing up the key pages better. That kind of makes sense. So use what you've got, get it to the right area where it can do some damage, and then work on the SEO.
And if your prime pages are not in these top visited ones, I mean, you can properly link it. You should have your homepage, yeah, but then your most important product pages, they really need to be in here, if not even more important than your homepage. You have to go back and just look at your keywords and double check that your pages are optimized, because otherwise it's, you know, you don't want the contact us page to be on the top here, because it's...
So don't go big geek again, optimize. We're talking about looking at your pages individually and making sure that what word the key phrase do you want to be the top of Google for? Have you mentioned it in the right places? Is it laid in the right places? So that's what search engine optimization is about. And obviously that's going to be pretty much a key theme line right through Team Champions over the whole many years that we're going to come to Leicester for.
And back on this bounce rate, the bounce rate on itself, again, you look at the one on your dashboard and goes 40%, yeah, that's not too bad, it's all right. But actually, you need to look at that in relation to your top entry pages, which we just had before, and in relation to your keywords. Because if you're looking at keywords, which is really key to you, but their bounce rate is not 40%, but 80%, so you need a breakdown of your bounce rates relating to your pages. You have to consider this kind of landing experience, which we spoke about before. If it is the right keyword and they're landing on the right page and they're still bouncing, you're just missing out, hugely. So you need to look at your landing experience and optimize for that.
Now we've had one of the customers who's early involved with this give us some suspiciously low bounce back figures. I'm not even going to quote those at this stage, but we do have quite a few that are around kind of 8, 10, 12, 15%. Now if you're hanging around 40, 50%, their website is effectively 5 times as efficient as yours at getting people at least to some content. Yeah. So if you wanted to double your business at this point, it wouldn't necessarily be search, given that Google's looking a bit shaky at the moment. You could probably just double it just by improving the bounce back on your website. Just make that homepage a lot more relevant, interesting, fascinating. That's what
So
we're trying to do.
what is the bounce rate again? I mean, you told us this earlier on, but technically, how do they measure it?
It is to people. You know, if you've got an excellent search phrase here that people have landed on your site, found you for that phrase, and instantly go away again.
On a result
Yeah.
in Google.
Yeah.
The website pops up.
Yeah.
For that page click.
Yeah.
You look at it and think, no, that's not the website. I'm not looking for that one. I'll go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just on your homepage. Yeah, it's a good question.
Could be whatever page they've clicked on in Google.
And then a subsequent page from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The keywords you got in that first column, that's what someone's typed into Google.
Yeah. That's what they found you for.
Yeah.
So
if your traffic is coming from Google, if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
driving it there, then it's a movement off the homepage or something.
yeah. But in the same way, it might be you're seeing phrases which are completely irrelevant for you, and that's why they're bouncing, in which case you can go back and tweak them so you don't get all this traffic that you didn't want in the first place. And also, if you're paying for the traffic and they're bouncing, turn the pay-per-click off until you've fixed it. You know, at Hasbury we were paying for phrases like music tours and sports tours, but people were looking for Madonna and Michael Jackson. They weren't looking for 14-year-olds playing in a market square in Belgium. So that was expensive to pay for. So
Truly frightening number of people who are doing pay-per-click and spending an awful lot of money do not look at their stats. More don't than do, even some of the bigger spenders. It seems crazy, doesn't it, if you could measure. The problem with advertising is you never know what's working for you, except in PPC, when you can look at this and actually can tell what's working for you.
traffic sources, very quickly, is quite obvious. You know, where's your traffic coming from? I think one of the things to take from this is, if you're using pay-per-click, keep an eye on how much is coming from pay-per-click and how much is coming from generic, because you obviously need the free stuff, or most people do anyway. And also is to look at the sources that are referring traffic to your site. If you're doing affiliate marketing or anything like that, or expecting a certain site to be passing traffic onto you, check that it actually is. And if it isn't, you know, you're paying for it. And also check, yeah, it might actually be that you get stuff that come up here that you didn't expect, in which case that's good, but B, could you look for other similar sites that might want to link to you, because these inbound links are important and they're hard to catch.
You might pick up a link from somewhere, you analyse it on here and go, actually, yeah, we could have a better relationship with them. Why don't we work with them, actually have some of our content sit on their website to increase the amount of traffic there, do something with some